Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Running the Bases. I'm your host, Michael Garaffa, joined by Nik Nath today. It's just Nick and I, some serious throwbacks to, I think the third ever show I ever did where Nick was a guest. It is the first time since then that the two of us have been the only two on the show. We've either had Marco or Ryan here with Nick, but Nick's always the one who's always here. I mean, there have been times where he's missed, but everyone misses every once in a while. We're all human. But Marco and Ryan, unfortunately, not able to join us today. Marco will be on the show eventually at some point. He hasn't been on one since we took our summer break, so it's been a little over a month and a half, but he'll be here. We know that he wants to be here, but Marco's an adult who's now graduated college and has real world things to worry about other than our podcast. So he's doing that. Ryan is just going to miss these next two shows. He's doing a camp that he won't be able to partake in our show. He might be able to be a part of the beginning of the show next week if we do it early. But our plan for the rest of the summer is now official. We finalized it. We're going to be doing Tuesday shows at 8:30 a.m. Arizona time. It's tough, but got to keep in mind, even though for Nick this didn't apply, but we're very rarely going to be doing things late Monday night because it's Monday. So Tuesday is, kind of that middle of the week. And, sometimes you gotta sacrifice.
We can do it. We can do it. We did it.
We can do it
all semester last time.
Exactly. And that was a Sunday following Saturday night. So,
that was
yeah, for you and Ryan, it was really brutal. Marco seemed to be all right every time. But, and obviously me, I was used to it because I'm up at 6:00 on Sundays anyway. But we are here. Tuesday mornings are going to be our new time. Yes, we're 2.5 hours later today. That's just because Ryan and Marco couldn't make it. So we figured, well, the only reason we're doing it so early is for Ryan and Marco. So we might as well push it back a little bit. This way we got to do things in the morning. So now that that's all out of the way, welcome. Season 4, Episode 10. We had a plan for today's show, but because it's just Nick and I figured this is a perfect time. Instead of doing a game or, something where I like to have us all involved, let's recap the season. Let's take a look at what's going on. We haven't really had the opportunity to do so. And honestly, those shows they're not really as fun and exciting, but it's still good to talk about. It gives us the opportunity to talk baseball, which is what we're best at. So I think this is a good time to do that. We'll look at division rankings, wild card rankings, stats, maybe even look a little bit ahead at the trade deadline, people we might think are going to be traded to where. Yes, All-Star Game. That's another great one. I mean, that's coming up a week from today, which is beyond exciting. We're going to be doing a show the morning of the All-Star Game. Just wonderful. So there's a lot that we're going to be covering, and then obviously Nick and I are going to be doing our regularly scheduled stuff of power rankings, and then we'll be doing our specific segments too. So that'll be coming up later in the show, but for now, let's recap. Major League Baseball, shall we? We'll start it off. I'm just going to be using the MLB at-bat app and looking divisionally, so it starts us off in the NL East, and of course, the NL East is the division my favorite team is a part of, the New York Mets. The Mets are on top of that division. They're 44-37. They've got a 4-game lead over the Nationals, who are in second. They're 41-42. The Braves are in third at 41-43. They're 4.5 back. The Phillies are in fourth. They're 40-42. Also 4.5 back. And then the Marlins are in dead last, 9 games back. They're 36-47. So, Nick, what are you seeing so far from the National League East? Just overall thoughts that you can pick a certain team to talk about or just in general. Break it down for us. What's going on in the NL East?
Well, I'm pretty sure I can safely speak for all of us, but correct me if I'm wrong, but this division's been pretty disappointing so far. Shout out to the Mets, the only team over 500 right now. But the two years ago, World Series champion, the Washington Nationals, are game under 500. The Braves, who everyone thought would just run away with this division at some point, 2 games under 500. The Phillies, who always just been kind of mediocre, kind of just trying to find that middle ground, they're 2 games under 500. And we expected after a really lucky, I don't want to say lucky season, but after a really good Cinderella story last season, the postseason, after beating the Cubs, the Marlins find themselves in dead last, which was expected. This is a team that's rebuilding. I'm not really disappointed in this team in particular, but with the Nationals, Braves, and Phillies, especially the Braves and the Nationals, I can safely say I'm very disappointed in those two teams. Obviously, the Braves dealing with injuries. The Ozuna allegations definitely hurt them. The pitching wise, Soroka and Freed's been hurt a majority of the year too. That's also been hurting. And as far as the Nationals go, I don't know. I mean, Juan Soto hasn't been as good as I thought he'd be this year. Obviously, dropped him second in our fantasy leagues. He's like hitting sub 280 right now, which is very below standards for him. I didn't expect that at all. But I got to give it to the Mets, though. The Mets, despite some brutal injuries early on, they've been able to carry it. Despite Lindor struggling very, very early in the season, he's been able to pick up the bat. So overall, this division is going to, I think, come down to a little closer of a race. I do think the Braves and the Nationals will figure it out at some point, but the Mets will stay consistent. And the consistent division winner in this, I think, will be one of those three teams between the Mets, Nationals, and Braves. But don't be surprised if it's the Mets the entire way through.
All we can do is hope. So the National League East, as someone who has been able to watch it all year, I mean, it has been – I will say that it has been really weird because Dom Smith said it's still the best division in baseball, which I really disagree with. But I have to say that the NL East, they're doing so poorly against teams out of the division, but when they play each other, they just murder each other. Like the Nationals and Marlins I believe the Nationals and Marlins are playing the Dodgers and Marlins are playing. But, the Marlins, when they play the Braves, Phillies, and Nationals, they, take 2 out of 3 every time. It's kind of funny, but then they go play other teams and they're getting swept. So that's been their biggest issue. But I think that the one thing that stands out to me when looking at this is their last 10. The Mets are 5-5, Nationals are 5-5, Braves, Phillies are 6-4, and the Marlins are 5-5. That tells a story right there. This division is just – there's no one taking advantage. I mean, yes, the Marlins are, but no one's really falling too far behind either. I mean, it really is still between teams 1 and 4. The Mets are going to try and gain some ground. They've got a lot of their players back now, and they're going to be getting Carlos Carrasco back, J.D. Davis back, and hopefully Noah Syndergaard sometime in the future. But regardless, it's not really a given right now. I do think the Nationals are going to fall off eventually. Their pitching staff is really not up to snuff, and the offense just hit a hot streak because Kyle Schwarber existed. But they're coming back down to earth now that Schwarber's hurt, and it's kind of exposing them. And the Braves are really the shock here. I mean, we expected the Phillies to be around 500, and we expected the Nats to be in 4th, but the Braves just being 2 games under. I mean, we see it. They go through stretches. I mean, we see it, I'm sure, when you look at power rankings and trying to include them, because they'll have 1 week where they go 5-2 and another week where they go 2-5. They gain the ground and they get back up and even over 500, and then they lose it again. They'll lose 4 in a row. And that's been, for them, been consistent. So the NL East right now is really up in the air. The Mets obviously have a solid lead, but as a Mets fan myself, I have to say the lead is definitely not secure. If the Mets can make a trade for someone, it would make me feel a lot better. I'm sure it would probably solidify their spot at the top of the division a little bit more. So now we move on to the NL Central. And this NL Central, man, it's rough. It really is. And how the tides have turned from the beginning of the season. In first place in the NL Central are the Milwaukee Brewers. They are 51-35. They have been such a surprise. This is coming after, I believe, they won 10 in a row. I actually think it was 11. They've now lost their last 2. But, yeah, 11 in a row, they were hot. That is just without question. There was a point this year where the Brewers were under 500, so they're really doing very well. The Cincinnati Reds are in second. They are 6 games back at 44-40. And I mean, at this point, when you have a 6-game lead in the division, I wouldn't say it's a runaway, but that's you feel really safe up there. The Chicago Cubs have dropped all the way down to 3rd. They've lost 10 in a row. Losing 10 in a row is huge. They're 42-43. They're now 8.5 games back. The Cardinals are in 4th, which has been the biggest surprise of the year. They're 42-44. They are 9 games back. At this point, if you're 9 games back in the division, it's over. There's no coming back for you. You have to keep your eye on the wild card, maybe, but they're under 500. It's really rough. And then you've got the Pirates, which we all expected to be in last. They're 19 games back. They're 31-53. They have a better record backwards than the Brewers do forwards. So that just gives you a taste. Nick, what's going on in the NL Central?
I mean, the first thing I was going to touch on was what you just said with the Cardinals being so disappointing. I mean, obviously Flaherty's hurt, that pitching rotation's taking a big hit, but we just thought with the acquisition of Arenado and Goldschmidt, that infield trio, that infield corner duo would be solidified as one of the best in baseball. But you can make an argument that Arenado shouldn't even be starting in the All-Star game. I think he's hitting sub 280 right now. Turner's having a better overall statistical season right now, but I do think because the All-Star game is in Colorado and because it's just a nice welcome home gift for Arenado. But overall, yeah, the Cardinals are struggling. Obviously, you just touched on it, the Brewers were hot, 11 games in a row win streak. I think that was tied for their second longest in franchise history. Obviously, losing 2 straight right now doesn't help, but they're 6 games over their next opponent, which is the Reds. The Reds have been quietly kind of nice. I mean, I love the duo of Winker Castellanos. It's been really fun to watch all year. That rotation's not bad. I did expect a little bit better from Luis Castillo this year, but overall, I mean, the Reds have been quietly one of the better performing teams coming into this season. The Cubs look like a dumpster fire right now. I don't know what to say. They lost 10 in a row. The hitting's not there. The pitching's not there. It's not looking good for Cubs fans. And we could kind of expect this, but this could kind of maybe lean towards maybe a Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javi Baez, someone getting traded at that deadline. I could definitely see Chris Bryant being the first one to get moved from that trio. But we'll see what happens come trade deadline if they want to blow things up from this 2016 World Series roster. And then, we expected the Pirates to be this way. I mean, they were probably one of the worst teams coming into the year. I think the Diamondbacks actually have exceeded the expectations for worst team in baseball this year, though. But as far as the Brewers go, that pitching rotation with Woodruff, Burns, Hader, it's lights out. It's scary. Yelich is looking finally healthy again. The Willie Adames trade is playing. I know we talk about it like almost every week. The Willie Adames trade is proving really, really well for that Brewers team. He just needed a change of scenery, like I think Ryan said earlier. And this Brewers team is just scrappy. They're kind of fun to watch right now, and they're looking like the clear favorites to win this division. I don't think it's anyone else's game but the Brewers to win. I could see a surprising wild card visit from the Cardinals if they get hot late, but they need to start now as opposed to later.
Yeah, and I mean the Brewers right now. They especially said it yesterday with the Willie Adames trade on the broadcast that. For Willie Adames, it's just like you said, it's a change of scenery. And Willie Adames came in. He left an organization where, we know the Rays. They fire themselves up, but they don't really get fired up from externally. He comes into Milwaukee. He's playing in a hitter's ballpark, and the energy is high. They're in a tight division. And, I mean, Milwaukee's going to pack the house much more than Tampa Bay is. And it woke him up, and he has been alive ever since. But I know you said that it's their division right now. I would say watch out for the Reds. Really, I think that the Reds have won 5 in a row. They've still got a lot of ground to make up. But if you look at the Reds right now, they are in third place in the wild card. They're 4.5 back there. So realistically, it's going to come down to what they do at the deadline. If they're buyers at the deadline, keep an eye on them, because I think this Brewers team right now is just finding hot streaks at the right time, and that's building for them. I think they're going to crash at some point. This is just my speculation. Obviously, this might not be true, but don't be surprised if the Reds sneak up and make this an interesting division. I do believe the Brewers are going to end up walking away with it in the end because of that rotation. But, I mean, we saw Brandon Woodruff last night, gave up 4 runs to the Mets. Proves that he's human. I mean, anyone's human. Jacob deGrom had a rough start last week, too. Anything can happen. And, yeah, rough start. Gave up 2 runs, struck out 14. But, Brandon Woodruff he's a great pitcher and one of the best in the game. But you never know. One bad start, it could always lead to, a little bit of a downward spiral. We obviously hope that doesn't happen. But that's the NL Central. Really interesting division, but we'll have to see if anything can change in there. And now we get to what has been, I wouldn't say the biggest surprising of a division in baseball, but it kind of is, because this has turned into the most fun division to watch in the game, and that is the NL West. The Giants still are in first in this division. They are 53-31. They have a half-game lead over the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are 53-32. I mean, a half game back for the Dodgers. We expected them to be running away with it. If anything, the Padres would be 5 games behind them, and they would, maybe be close. But the Padres are living up to that. They're 50-37. They're 4.5 back. That's where we expected them to be. But for the Giants to be in first place right now is just, it's blowing my mind. I saw the Giants play in Arizona. I saw them Sunday. I'll talk about it more later because I want you to give your input first. But it's shocking to me that they're first. The Colorado Rockies are in third. They're 37-48, 16.5 back. We expected that. And the Diamondbacks are the worst team in baseball of 2021, 23-63, 40 games under 500. they'll be lucky if they win 50 games this year. They're 31 games back. So, Nick, take it away. What's going on in that NL West?
I mean, yeah, like you said, I think this division's definitely been the most fun to watch all year, and I think that'll continue up until the end of the year. I don't know what to say about the Giants, man. It's my roommate called it earlier this year. That's a Giants fan. He said like this is a 2010, 2012 type of year. He said that like second game into the season, and and everyone was just like, "What are you saying? Like that doesn't mean anything." But we're seeing like a really, really similar type of season that the Giants are putting together. Gallusman's been electric. I can't say it enough. He's been probably the second best pitcher in baseball all year, second to DeGrom, which is amazing. The fact that he's in the same breath as DeGrom has been amazing. He's kind of come out of nowhere too, which has been kind of fun to watch all year. I don't know. Brandon Crawford's hit the fountain of youth. Buster Posey's hit the fountain of youth. All those guys have hit the fountain of youth in some way. Posey's starting the All-Star game this year. That's crazy. I don't think anyone predicted that Buster Posey would be the starting catcher in the NL All-Star game this year. The same with, I think, is Crawford starting too? Like that's insane to me. Like I don't know. These Giants.
He's not starting because of Tatis, but he'll be
Oh,
there.
right. Well, he's a reserve, which no one thought would be possible at the age of 34. Crazy. But as far as the Dodgers go, I mean, they're 9-1 in their past 10, and they don't have a fully healthy lineup yet. Seager's waiting to come back. Bauer's on a 7-day absence of leave, which we'll see what happens there. That's going to be kind of a scary situation that's monitored all year. Walker Buehler should be an all-star. I don't know how he isn't. It's blasphemy that he's not, but he's been quietly one of the better pitchers all year. That rotation's always going to stay solid, even with the loss of Bauer. I think they'll still be fine. They still have Kershaw and Buehler and Urias. Obviously, the loss of May hurt earlier, but getting Seager back later will help. Muncy's leading the team in RBIs right now after like missing the past 2 weeks. He's been in an absolute tear recently. And as far as the Padres go, they've been one of the more exciting teams in baseball because they have Fernando Tatis Jr. That pitching staff is electric. Yu Darvish is an all-star this year, which is fantastic addition for that team. Blake Snell's been solid for them too. So this is going to really be a 3-team race all year. And I do think that the 2 teams that don't win the division will end up getting the NL wild card, which will mean we'll have 3 teams from the NL West representing in the playoffs, which is even more fun. I do think the Dodgers will end up winning the division when they're fully healthy at the end of the year. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if any 3 of these teams are standing in first. It would shock me though if the Rockies came out of nowhere and just were like, we'll play stellar baseball, because honestly they've been kind of good lately, and it's been kind of fun to watch. I think they lead the league in walk off wins this year. But yeah, and the Diamondbacks, I mean, at least we have the Suns in Arizona, like I said before earlier, because they've just been a dumpster fire. They've been laughable to say the least. But yeah, this division will be the most fun to watch all year long, and I'm excited for the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres to give us a good finish.
Yeah, in this division, I mean, it's really, really obviously down to 3. And like you said, it's likely going to be those 3 teams are in the playoffs, and which is great news for them. But I mean, it's looking like, to me, I think it's going to be Giants and Padres in the wild card. And the thing that I was saying the other day is when you're at a point in the season like the Giants are, they are 22 games over 500. At this point in the season, you're not going to fall that far down. There is virtually no way that you fall under 500. So they're virtually guaranteed to finish over that 500 mark for a team that we really expected to finish in third and maybe not even crack 500. I do believe the Giants are going to fall eventually, and my main reason for that, I'm blown away by how they're playing so well. Because listen to this lineup that they put out there Sunday. Yes, it was Game 3 against the Diamondbacks. They were sitting some of their big players. Crawford wasn't playing. Belt wasn't playing. I believe some of them are going through injuries anyway. But this lineup right here, Austin Slater is their starting center fielder. Thairo Estrada is the shortstop. Mike Yastrzemski is the right fielder. He's the first one so far that is expected. Buster Posey's the catcher. He got hurt. Darren Ruff was at first. He went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Darren Ruff last played in 2016 for the Phillies. Wilmer Flores is at third. He had a rough game, but, Wilmer Flores he's not a star. Donovan Solano had the great year last year, but he's hitting 272 this year. And Jalen Davis is the starting left fielder. I mean, that lineup seems like they should be in fourth. But they're winning the division and are 22 games over 500. It's it's phenomenal to me because they really, I mean, they've only won 5 out of their last 10, so they're clearly starting to slip. But I've been saying it all year. This Giants team, I've been saying it for the last 2 months. They're going to fall, but they haven't. They're at the trade. They're at the All-Star break, and they're in first. Well, we've got a week till then, but they're in first place right now. I don't think any of us expected this in our wildest dreams. So the Giants have been on fire. The Dodgers, like you said, they've had everything that could go wrong for the Dodgers is. I mean, like things that we couldn't even think of. I mean, yeah, everyone was saying that Trevor Bauer was, a sexual predator, and it was a joke. And now here he is, and they're accusing him of, these horrible allegations. And it's like, oh, well, I guess it turned out to be true. And it's like, man, it really is all going wrong for the Dodgers, and it's really, really terrible for them as the defending World Series champs. Like you said, I think they're going to figure it out. And the Padres are playing where we expected them to. They were so hot for so long at one point in the season, but they're coming back to earth now. They've won 5 out of their last 10. So we expected them to be behind the Dodgers and following the Dodgers, and they showed signs this year of maybe they can get above them, but I think that they're going to really stay enough of a distance behind the Dodgers this year that they're not going to be much of a threat. So that's the National League. The National League this year has been a wild ride. Baseball this year has been a wild ride. So we go now over to the American League side, and the American League East has been a roller coaster. It really has. In first place in the division are the Boston Red Sox, who started the year being swept by the Baltimore Orioles. They're now 54-32 with a 4.5 game lead in the division. The Tampa Bay Rays are in second. They were running away with the division for a while. Now they're 4.5 back in 13 games over 500 at 49-36. The Toronto Blue Jays, who we expected so much more from, they're only 43-39. They're 9 games back. They're basically out of the division. The Yankees are just atrocious this year. They're 42-41. I would say the Yankees are the biggest surprise of 2021. Not to me, because you heard it here first. I said it so many times in the offseason. This Yankees team is not as good as everyone thinks it's going to be. Kluber's failed. Tyone's failed. It's exactly what I expected, but not what anyone else expected. And then you got the Orioles in last. They're 30 games under 500, 27-57. They're 26 games back. That's not a surprise. Nick, American League East, what's going on?
Well, as the great Michael Kay should say, the Yankees suck. It's really laughable, honestly. And for so long you were saying, "Oh, the best team in New York," and all this and that, and it was laughable going into the season because we expected so much more from the Yankees. But it's the damn truth right now. This Yankees team is not good. And I don't think anyone expected Cole to be pitching this badly after the crackdown, but there's a coincidence to be made. Like there's a statement to be made that like right after the crackdown started, Cole's ERA has just skyrocketed ever since. Same with Chapman, who was recently named an All-Star for no reason. Like this Yankees team is just not good. Outside of Aaron Judge, who's been somewhat consistent all year. DJ LeMahieu, who's been disappointing all year. Gleyber Torres has been subpar. Gary Sanchez has been Gary Sanchez, which is not good for Yankee fans. Yeah, this Yankees team is just not it. Like I'm a huge Jared Carrabis fan on Twitter, and I see his tweets every day, and they're so funny, they're so laughable, and he's right. The Yankees are atrocious. It's not even fun to make fun of them anymore. They're just that bad. And I don't see a way this team turns it around because honestly, they're fully healthy, and they're still finding ways to blow leads. The only thing that they've done that's been impressive is the triple plays this year and a Corey Kluber no-hitter. Other than that, they've been just damn right irrelevant. They will never be irrelevant because they're the Yankees, but they're playing like they're irrelevant right now. And as far as the Blue Jays go, I mean, you touched on it. They've been quietly a little disappointing. I think Springer fully healthy now will help them in the long run. But Vlad's been amazing up until this point. He's been absolutely killing it. And they did get a few All-Star nods with Teoscar Hernandez and I'm forgetting on the other one.
Semien starting short.
Yeah, man, Marcus Semien has been quietly very, very solid for them all year. I think they'll be a little bit better right as of right now. I can see them finishing second in this division. No question. The rotation isn't bad either. Steven Matz has been quietly one of the better pitchers all year. Hyun-Jin Ryu has been solid. And as far as the Rays go, I mean, we expected this. The former AL champs, with any lineup they put out, they will find ways to win just because they are the Tampa Bay Rays. And it's really unfortunate that their fan base can't appreciate that because they fight and claw every single night. And I don't know, they're always consistently somewhere in that AL wildcard, AL East contending spot. But man, the Boston Red Sox are fun to watch. And I don't know how we were expecting. Oh, go ahead.
You know, I called it. You all thought I was an idiot. I called it. I thought they would finish in second, but here they are in first. I said it. I said, this team, man, this lineup, they're a sleeper. Continue.
Yeah, they're sleeper is an understatement at this point in the season because they're 9-1 in their last 10, and wow, JD Martinez said it perfectly last year. He said they feel like they weren't even playing baseball at some point. They were trying to play baseball, and this year with the fans and with everything kind of back in normalcy, it's feeling like they're trying to win a championship right now, and they're really a dark horse to win the AL right now. With that lineup can take them anywhere. I don't care if their rotation doesn't have the names as it should. That lineup can score 8 to 9 runs every single night. You got Bogarts there. Rafael Devers has been absolutely amazing this year. JD Martinez has been quietly one of the better hitters in baseball all year. That lineup is potent, top to bottom. And I mean, obviously, we expected the Orioles to be this bad. I mean, the Trey Mancini show is all that's there in Baltimore, which I appreciate, and the Ryan Mountcastle.
Whoa. Cedric Mullins.
Oh, you're right. Cedric Mullins.
The snub.
The All-Star game starter who didn't even start on his high school team. What an amazing story he is. But yeah, you're right. Snub too. But yeah, the biggest takeaway for me from the AL East is that Yankees fans should shut their eyes because the Red Sox are running away with the division and they are plummeting. They're in fourth. They're behind the Toronto Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays. It's like Aaron Boone will be out of a job before we know it.
It gives me pleasure to know that I was right about this division other than the Yankees. I still, like I said, had them finishing first, but I said it because I went for the over. I was like, it's a solid over under. I was like, they're more likely to finish in first than they are to finish in the fourth place that I thought they would finish in. So I went with that. I should have gone for the fourth that I was expecting, but oh well. But man, this AL East, it's a Red Sox show. They only have a 4.5 game lead. I'd say they're running away with it because the Tampa Bay Rays aren't going to be able to consistently win. I mean, right now the Red Sox are 86 games into the season. They're on pace to win 100 games. The Rays are not winning 100 games. It's not happening. They're not a 100-win club. So I would say that the Red Sox are a lock to win this division, and it's crazy. It really is. And like you said, the Blue Jays without George Springer were just trying to stay at 500. With George Springer now, they're pulling away, but at this point, it's too little, too late. The Yankees, man, I'm going to go on a little mini Yankee rant because the Yankees, they need to rebuild. They need to fully clean house. They need a new owner, a new GM, new manager, and a whole new team. And they'll never do it because they're the Yankees and they expect to win every day and every year. And they just can't because at this point, they are expecting to win and trying to win with Brett Gardner as their starting left fielder. Like, you can't do that. Like, it's not. You've got Gary Sanchez behind home plate, who is 3 years overdue of being traded. You've got Luke Voigt at first, who's been good, but he's been hurt all year.
Gleyber Torres has also been overdue for being traded.
Yes, absolutely. They're just sitting on them because they were the future, and they can't let go of the fact that they're not going to be. Miguel Andujar is the only one that they actually let fall away a little bit, and even at that, he's been starting in left field. Like, they are not making smart decisions. Gio Urshela is their best hitter this year. Well, Aaron Judge. But yeah, Aaron Judge has been great. But, even at that, Judge hasn't performed the way that they expect him to. It's just this team is rough. Garrett Cole is not the same without sticky stuff.
Stanton's inconsistent.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, Aroldis Chapman can't throw a strike. He just can't. And when he does, it's hit 450 feet. I mean, I thought about it the other day. I was like, it makes sense. You can throw if you can throw 105, it's easy to throw 105 in a good spot if you've got the ability to command where it's going. But when you don't have that sticky stuff on your fingers, he can't really throw 105 and locate it. So it's going all over the place. It's leading to him decreasing his velocity so that he can throw in the strike zone, and then they're hitting it. When you walk up there against Chapman, you're expecting a fastball. When he's throwing at 98, it's going to be crushed. So that's his problem. And the Yankees, man, they need to rebuild. They never will, but they need to rebuild. So that's my Yankees rant. Done with the AL East. We go to the AL Central, and boy, this AL Central, we don't really need to spend much time on it. It's the White Sox division. The Indians were there. They were there for a little while, but they've lost 7 in a row. They're 1 for their last 10. We don't even need to spend time on it. It's the Tigers are in third. Congratulations, Nick. You're welcome. The Royals, they're in last. And I know you enjoy the heck out of that. The Tigers are only 7 games under. That's pretty impressive. They've won 3 in a row, 7 out of their last 10. So congratulations, Nick. The Tigers are not last or fourth. And then we'll go to the AL West. And this AL West, really, we should just focus on 3 teams. Well, actually, we could focus on the AL West. The AL Central is just throw it to the side, the White Sox. So the AL West, yes, Nick, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I was proud of the Tigers. That's all.
Yes, I would be proud of the Tigers. They're overperforming. They really are.
We really are, and it's really nice to see the prospects kind of starting to take form, especially with the pitching rotation too. And we took 2 out of 3 from the White Sox recently, 2 out of 3 from the Indians recently, and we just killed the Rangers last night, which should be an easy series win. So hopefully we can continue this. I don't expect this to be any contention for any type of wild card, obviously, or anything like that. But I would just be really happy to finish 500 with this team. That's all I have to say.
Hey, you're 9.5 back in the wild card. If you pick it up,
yeah, but we can safely assume that whoever doesn't win in the AL West will take a wild card spot, and whoever doesn't win in the AL East will take a wild card spot.
Well, if this makes you feel any better, the Mets were 12 games under 500 in 2019 and finished the season 10 games over. It's possible. You've just got to have hope. But that Mets team also had a lot more talent. But still, it's possible.
Anything's possible. But
they finished the season like 43-14. So
yeah, I'm proud of the Tigers. They're 7-3 in their last 10. I think we've had I think we're like 30-22 in our last 52, which is it's something to be proud of.
Yeah, it's fun. It makes baseball fun to watch for a little while when you have the opportunity to watch it. Now they're playing well. So the AL West, this division's been just like the AL East. It's been a roller coaster. Let's be honest here. The Houston Astros are winning the division now after they won 12 in a row. So they really took away that division lead that the Athletics had all year long. And the Astros are now in first. They've won 4 in a row. They're 52-33. So that is 19 games over 500. The Athletics are in second. They are 49-37. They're 12 games over 500, but they're 3.5 games back. And a lot of that for them, Nick, I know you'll get into it, but a lot of that has just been that they haven't been able to consistently keep their bats going. Matt Chapman's still having a rough year. But the Mariners in third have been really the biggest surprise. They're 45-40. I think a lot of us expected them to kind of be around that 500 mark, but I'd say they're overperforming. Angels are just, gosh, I don't know why we do this to ourselves every year. We always expect the Angels to win the division or come in second, and then they're 42-42 and 9.5 games under away from first. It's just, I don't know why we do this to ourselves every year. And then the Texas Rangers are in last. They're 33-52. That's completely expected too. So, Nick, break down that AL West for me.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Astros being in first, I didn't think it'd be any surprise that that lineup's still there. Most of it, at least. They only lost Springer and a couple other guys. That obviously that rotation took a big hit when they lost some key guys there. But overall, this Astros team is always going to be here. They're competing. They always have that experience, even if it was cheating or not. That experience there, it's helpful. Altuve's been quietly very, very solid this year. Yuli Gurriel, who I hate with all my guts, should be an all-star this year. He has the numbers to be an all-star. Correa's also been there. He's been solid. Not much to say there, but in terms of the Astros and their lineup, they'll always be competing. They'll always be a team that can always put up 6 to 7 runs a night. Just on that lineup, kind of the same situation as the Red Sox. They'll always be offensively more talented than their pitching is, and their lineup is going to be the reason they're in games, and it's going to be the reason why they might make a deep playoff run. In terms of the Athletics, they've been obviously quietly fun to watch too. You touched on it though. Chapman has been struggling lately. Olsen's been their best hitter consistently all season, and he's been kind of carrying that load on offensively. Chris Bassett's been quietly one of the best AL pitchers this year. It hasn't been close. I don't think he was voted an All-Star though, unfortunately. But Oakland in general has just been kind of a fun, surprising team to watch. I think we were all kind of spot on with the Mariners prediction. 5 games over 500 might be a little bit of a stretch as of right now. I don't think we think that as of right now, but we kind of expected them to start getting a little bit out of that rebuild that they've so quietly been in for so long. Kyle Lewis has been out all year, the former AL Rookie of the Year, and I think when they get him back, that let him can add a little bit more pop. But they've just been fun to watch. It's nice when young teams start finding ways to win because it gives us hope for the future, and it gives us hope that this team will be around for a long time. I think the Mariners will be consistently competing for the AL West in the next 5 to 6 years. Be on the watch out for that. And for the Angels, man, I mean, if I was an Angels fan, I really would consider changing over to the Dodgers or just picking a random team out of a hat because I think you'd find better success in that way because, man, they're just wasting talent left and right. I mean, obviously, the best player in baseball isn't playing right now, and he was still voted the All-Star starter center fielder as he should be. But if I just want to really see Mike Trout and Ohtani in the same lineup healthy because what Ohtani is doing right now has been remarkable. He's leading the league in home runs. Obviously voted in as a pitcher and a designated hitter, which has been amazing. But, I mean, it's just unfortunate because I do think this team would be a lot better. Obviously, if Mike Trout was healthy right now because that lineup, man, of Walsh, Rendon, Ohtani, Trout, that can do a lot of damage. And I know, I don't want to get any Angels fans' hopes up, but when Trout gets back for next year, hopefully, I'm already thinking for next year because this season's over for them. It's been over for them. But we always say this, if they can get pitching, but really, if they can get pitching, it's not a bad ball club in general. And that lineup will carry them no matter how it takes. Ohtani's a generational talent. He'll be here for the long haul. Trout's the best player in baseball, and there's no question about that. Walsh has been quietly very good all year. Rendon's been struggling, which I don't think anyone has expected. And then, yeah, we go down to Texas, and they've just been – we expected it, though. No surprise there. And the Rangers haven't been good since the Jose Bautista bat flip. But yeah, that's all I got.
Well, I think the thing with the Angels is, yes, that we always say they need to get pitching, and then they go out and they sign Jose Quintana as their ace. And it makes you wonder, why aren't you spending your money? I think the biggest mistake for the Angels in recent memory has been, I think the best thing they did was trade Albert Pujols. But the worst thing they did was sign Anthony Rendon. I really agree. I think he's a great bat, but they don't need any more bats. They've got the bats. They need to spend that money on pitching. They could have signed Trevor Bauer this offseason if they didn't sign Anthony Rendon last offseason. And if they did,
well, it's a good thing they didn't.
Yes, obviously it would be a different story now. But if they did, they probably would be in contention for that division right now. It's terrible. They didn't need to sign Anthony Rendon. They didn't need more bats. And I guarantee you this offseason, they're probably going to say, well, I guess we need more offense and probably spend their money on like Joey Gallo instead of a pitcher. It's just they need pitching.
I will say, though, the fact that they are 500 without Trout, I mean, that's not anything. That's not anything to hang your head over. Like that's not a bad record without the best player in baseball. The best player in baseball that leads the league in WAR by far.
That's true. I still think that they need to be higher. They need to be better.
I mean, honestly, if you were to tell me that the Angels would be 500 at the All-Star break without Trout, I would be like, they should low-key be 6 or 7 games under 500 right now. But thanks to Ohtani and thanks to that lineup with Walsh, they've been able to surge a little farther. And they 6-4 in the last 10 isn't terrible. 9.5 out of the division. I'm not saying it's winnable, but if they can get Trout back at some point, they can make a late push because I do think they're a better team than the Mariners when fully healthy, and they can be right up there with the Athletics too in any given day. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I agree. I think it's possible. I feel like with the way Shohei Ohtani's been playing, I just feel like there's no excuse for them to be at 500. I mean, he is basically replacing Mike Trout in the lineup with the way that he's been hitting. I agree when Trout comes back, oh boy, watch out. But I don't know. That AL West is just weird. The Astros they're proving that they are good players. They made it to the major leagues for a reason. They're proving that they don't need to cheat to win, which I think is silencing a lot of the haters. Because I think everyone in baseball kind of wanted to see them be 20 games under 500 and prove that, they cheated because they suck, but they're not. They're good players. And, that's what we all knew. We just didn't want to admit it. They're good players. They cheated. And the Athletics, you hit on it really well. So that's that for the standings. And right now, it's just things can change at any minute. But at this point, the only division that's close in Major League Baseball is the NL West, with the Giants in first and the Dodgers a half game back. And then after that, the Padres are 4.5 back. So, 4 games I wouldn't really consider close, but, it's reachable. But right now, the only tight division is that NL West. So now let's take a look at some stats, shall we? We've got a lot of cool stats to look at. Don't want to spend tons of time on it, but just a little bit of a recap of what's been going on. Michael Brantley is leading Major League Baseball with a 340 batting average. There was a time where Castellanos was hitting 365 consistently. He's in second with 338, and then Guerrero was in third with 336. The rest of the pack is kind of far away. Jesse Winker was having an incredibly, just unbelievable batting average, and now he's come back to earth. He's at 306, still in 10th. So that batting average race it looks like it's going to be in the National League, probably a runaway for Nick Castellanos, which is a shock. I don't think anybody expected that. He's up by 14 points over everyone else. So that's a surprise. Michael Brantley and Guerrero, I'm sure, are going to go back and forth all year. But you really can't look at the batting title until, September. Home runs, Shohei Ohtani has taken the home run lead and just ran with it. He has just sprinted. 31 homers. He is on pace right now for about 58. That's unbelievable. 58 home runs. He could even get 60. Remember when Stanton was pushing for 60? If Ohtani goes through another stretch like he just did a week ago, he could legitimately maybe hit 60 home runs. You've got Guerrero in second, who in a normal year would be the clear MVP, so it's too bad for him. But he has 27 homers. He's tied with Tatis, who has missed time this year. Imagine if Tatis was healthy all year. He probably would be in the one with 31 home runs. So the home run race, fun every year. It's always enjoyable. Rafael Devers leads the world in RBIs with 71. Guerrero's the only is in second with 69. Shohei Ohtani's in third with 67. Everyone else a little bit further away. And then we'll take a look at OPS, another very valuable stat. Is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. leads baseball in that with a 1.109 OPS. Tatis 1.083 is in second, and Ohtani's in third with 1.058. So let's take a look at the pitching, shall we? All righty, Jacob deGrom leads every single category except for wins, strikeouts, saves, innings pitched, complete games started, save opportunities, earned runs, hits, because those are negative categories, home runs, and walks. He is the leader in ERA, WHIP, batting average, and he is 3 strikeouts away from the lead in strikeouts, which he will take today because he's pitching and Wheeler is not. So, yeah, that tells a story. Jacob deGrom is just goodness gracious and unbelievable. I think the stat that tells the story for Jacob deGrom is his FIP. That is his, I don't know what the acronym stands for. I'm going to get it for you because I just this year learned about FIP because of how amazing Jacob deGrom's is. The average, oh no, it's not FIP, it's ERA plus. Sorry, ERA plus. The average ERA plus, the best ERA plus you can ever see is 250. 300 is what Pedro Martinez had in his season, and so did Bob Gibson. Jacob deGrom has a 4.02 ERA plus. Nobody has ever gone over 305. He is 100 over it. His FIP is also 0.99, which is also just unbelievable. This isn't the Jacob deGrom rant show, but he basically leads baseball in all of the really important categories. It's just, he has a 0.95 ERA. It's the all-star break. It's incredible. Like you said before, his worst start of the year was when he gave up 3 runs and struck out 14.
And the 3 runs were all in the first inning, and then he was like, "All right, I'm actually Jacob deGrom. Let's win a ball game real quick."
Yeah, so I'm lucky that I get to watch him every 5 days. He pitches tonight. Jacob deGrom's must-see TV. I know the Suns are going to be in the NBA Finals. DeGrom probably will be out of the game at that point. But if he's not, and if he's pitching a good game, Jacob deGrom, the first quarter of basketball games, tend to not have that much going on.
The first quarter of the finals, though.
Yes, I know. Mets fans will be watching deGrom if he's still pitching. Everyone else will be watching the Suns. So let's roll into power rankings, shall we? We did our recap, and now we've got our power rankings of this year. And, I mean, the power rankings have really changed a lot, I would say, in the last 2 weeks because we haven't done a show since June 21st. So we'll start at rip-roaring right off at number 10. And I'll let you go first with them today. Nick, what's your number 10?
10, I got the Mets.
I agree. I have the Mets at number 10. They were at 11 last time we were here, so not much change. There were times where they fell behind, but they're back. Number 9, what do you got?
I got the Athletics.
Nick, I think we're going to have some agreeing this week. I have the Athletics at number 9.
Yeah.
Who do you have at number 8?
I have the Rays.
So close. I've got the White Sox at 8. So
okay.
we were close. What's your number 7?
The White Sox.
I have the Rays at 7. So, flip-flop them, and we're back. We're right back in where we were. Number 6.
I have the Brewers.
All right. I have the Padres at 6.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I have the Brewers at 5. Yes, they've lost 2 in a row, but,
I have the Padres
winning 11
5.
in a row. All right. As long as you have the –
We just flip-flopped it again.
Yeah, that's okay. It's fair. That's fine. We're close enough. And so what I was going to say is that the top 5 in baseball right now, for me at least, are a massive step away from the rest of them, where these 5 teams are just playing well beyond everybody else. I've got the Astros at 4. They were at 2 last week. They have just been unbelievably good.
Yeah, I have the Astros at 4 also.
I think there's a high chance that we agree on we could say we agree. Maybe. Number 3. Let's say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1, Giants.
Okay.
Dodgers? Really?
Yeah. I mean, the 2 teams above them have just been just a tiny bit better. I can see the Dodgers at 1 is totally a fair take. I would support that 100%, but when they get fully healthy is when I really put them at 1. And when they're not even first in their division right now, so
that's true. I just I can't
I know.
reason the Giants being, but to be fair, 1 through 3 really you could put them all at first. And number 2, I have the Red Sox. They've just been unbelievable.
I have the Giants.
Okay, so you have the Red Sox number 1, which I completely can see. I think they're in a tie with the Dodgers right now. I gave the Dodgers number 1. They've just been so good, and with all the injuries that they have, they're still managing to play the way that they should. So good for the Dodgers.
With that Boston rotation that has not, I'm going to say it's not good, but I say it's not up to par with the rest of these teams. They're right there. That lineup is right there. That lineup can compete with any team, any given day, any given ball game because it's from top to bottom. It's just filthy. You start off with Bogarts and Devers and Martinez in the middle. You have RBI machines top to bottom, and it's been fun to watch in Boston so far.
Yeah, it has. It's been really really enjoyable. So my biggest jump of the week, if I'm looking at this right, are the Brewers. They jumped from 12th to 5th. It's only a 7-spot jump, but there really haven't been many massive jumps in the week. We've had a lot of big falls, though. The Indians dropped 13. That's my biggest drop of the week. They went from 7th to 20th. And then the Cubs dropped 12. They went from 9th to 21st. Now, for those that are wondering, 22 through 30 to me are in a different category, where those are the Rockies, Tigers, Marlins, Twins, Royals, Rangers, Pirates, Orioles, and Diamondbacks. So that's, those teams there. And no one really enters that, final 9 unless they really suck. The Cubs are getting there, though. They'll be there eventually. So that's our power rankings, and then we roll on now to, as we do every week, we will run the bases. Nick, we start off with you today at second base. We hit a leadoff double. How about that? And then we're going to round the bases to me. But, Nick, go right ahead with your players to watch.
Not a lot of players this week. I mean, I feel like a lot of players are starting to come back down to earth after they were starting to break out. But I'll talk about a few players that have just been just quietly under the radar. I'll start with in Boston. Rafael Devers has been the heart and soul of that Boston lineup. 290 average. He's been very, very good. 21 home runs and 71 RBIs, which is the league leader right now. Absolutely stellar season from him. And Tim Anderson, I feel like we haven't heard a lot about Tim Anderson this year, but he's quietly subpar, hitting 300, 298 right now. The power numbers aren't there, and the RBI numbers aren't there, but he's a getting on base guy, and he's just always been consistent. And another guy that's hit the fountain of youth, I don't even know if you call it fountain of youth because he's just getting better with age. Nelson Cruz, 306 as of right now, 18 home runs, 45 RBIs. He doesn't age. I've been convinced he just does not age as of right now. And I'll go to Washington real quick. I think I put this guy on my list last week, but Trey Turner, who recently hit for the cycle on his birthday. I'm sure that will be in your top moments later. But 321 average, which has been super stellar. 15 home run, 39 RBIs, 18 stolen bases. The guy can really do it all, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does. And I'll go over to Pittsburgh and a really cool story. Adam Frazier, 324, been the bright lone spot in that Pirates team. Obviously, only 4 home runs, 20 RBIs. But the average is there, and I love that batting average as of right now. And then I'll go one more. I'll go with the Blue Jays as my last one for hitting. Teoscar Hernandez hitting 294, 11 home runs, 47 RBIs. Good enough for an all-star nod. No one expected that from him. I expected maybe 270s at the most, but 294 has been very good in that Blue Jays lineup. That Blue Jays lineup is so consistently good. It's just that pitching that can get them over the hump. And then pitching, I don't have many, but it's just always nice to see when bad teams have good players, like Kyle Gibson, for example, on the Rangers. 6-0 record, has not lost yet, a sub-2 ERA, an 81 strikeouts, a 1.03 RIP. He's statistically, if this was any other given year in the AL, he could be a contender for the Cy Young right now. But and honestly, he has a good case because the top pitchers in the NL the top pitchers in baseball right now are all from the NL. You got DeGrom, Gausman, Wheeler, Woodruff, Scherzer, Rogers, Peralta. Those are all NL guys. Gibson and Lynn are the only other AL guys. I will give a quick shout out to another to Marlin real quick. Trevor Rogers. This guy's a rookie. He's a rookie right now. So the record 7-5 isn't as good as it may be, but 2.22 ERA, 118 strikeouts with that funky release. It's been fun to watch all year. And man, he shouldn't be a sleeper, but Walker Buehler just was not voted an all-star. I feel like I just needed to bring that up. He's an 8-1 record. He's the best pitcher on the Dodgers as of right now. 2.49 ERA. How do you not get this guy in the All-Star game? And I think MLB posted the other day that Gausman, Buehler, and Woodruff were all pitching, and the caption was top 3 pitchers in baseball right now. I mean, obviously they weren't talking about DeGrom also, but they're top 3 pitchers in baseball right now, going off head to head. And all the comments were well, why isn't Buehler in the All-Star game? And I was I completely agree. He's easily the biggest All-Star snub this entire year, and I can't fathom as to why he's not an All-Star. But yeah, those are your players to watch. You should watch out for Buehler because he wasn't an All-Star apparently.
Yeah, and he may get himself in there if someone drops out. But I mean, I make the argument that 1 through 11 all deserve to be in the All-Star game in the top ERA. Taijuan Walker also got snubbed from the Mets. Freddie Peralta didn't make the All-Star game. What? It's just he has a 2.23 ERA. I'm sorry, you're wrong. He needs to be in the All-Star game, which is, for the last few minutes here, I think it gives us an opportunity to really talk about the All-Star game as a whole. I think next week, because I think it's fitting that on Tuesday we never did a
ballot.
An all-star team for us. So I think we could do that next week, do it on Tuesday, day of the All-Star game. But I really think it's ridiculous the way that the MLB does it. They try and focus on getting players there. Oh, well, I still have to do my top 5 moments of the week, but still. They focus on getting players to the All-Star game, but they don't want to have too many because they want to make sure that everyone gets to play in the game. And even at that, 9 times out of 10, everyone doesn't get to play in the game. But they want to have it so that they are having it so that maybe 1 or 2 players miss out. But I think that's ridiculous. There are so many players that didn't make the All-Star game this year that deserve it, that should be there. They should not have a limit on who's there. If you only have 6 pitchers that deserve to be in the All-Star game, then put 6 pitchers in there. If 46 pitchers deserve to be in the All-Star game, name them. Have them there. They don't have to pitch, but they deserve the recognition. For a guy like Freddie Peralta to have a 2.23 ERA, to not make the All-Star game, but Aroldis Chapman does, obviously different leagues, but Aroldis Chapman has a 3.5 ERA and has been the worst reliever in baseball over the last month. How on earth could you have him in the All-Star game and not Freddie Peralta? I'm already mad enough about Taijuan Walker not getting in and Marcus Stroman. Stroman, I could see he's fallen off a little bit recently, but still, Aroldis Chapman doesn't deserve it. Freddie Peralta deserves it more than anybody. I think we could all agree that Freddie Peralta is probably the biggest snub out of all of them. But I just think the system's broken. You should be able to have as many people in the All-Star game as you want. They don't have to play. It's up to the manager to decide who plays. They're going to decide. But it's just, to me, it's ridiculous. They need to fix it. There should not be like a limit of 10 starting pitchers and 10 relievers because Kenley Jansen didn't make the All-Star game, and he has a 1.27 ERA. That's all I have to say. That's my rant. We'll talk more about it next week, too. So with my top moments of the week, it's normally top 5, but because it's been 2 weeks, I decided to do top 8 just because there's been 8 moments in these last 2 weeks that I felt just needed to be said. And instead of having 3 honorable mentions, just do top 8. So at number 8, coming in from July, I wrote July 15th. That's not a real date. I don't even know what day. Wasn't yesterday either, so it could have been July 5th. I don't know. Whatever. Just forget the date. I didn't say that. This is Max Friedman's walk-off single against the Marlins in a massive comeback. The Marlins were winning 7-3. The Braves tied it 7-7 in the ninth with some of the worst defense I've ever seen. And then Max Fried, a pitcher, by the way, came up with the bases loaded and 2 out in the ninth. He got a base hit. Wasn't like the infield was in and he hit it through. It was a line drive right back up the middle, base hit, and won the game. Definitely.
Whoever was playing center field really should have dove for that, though. I really do think with the game on the line like that, you just kind of have to. Like it was kind of like right there too. Like
it's the Marlins.
I don't know. Yeah,
they've got nothing. They've got nothing to live for at this point.
It was 2 outs. Like even if you miss the ball, like it's gonna be game either way.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There's a reason why the Marlins are in last. Same thing I said the other day when at the Giants D-backs game when Christian Walker, the Diamondbacks first baseman, they were playing in the shift. He dove to a ball that was way to his right, clearly the second baseman's ball. Dove, missed it. Fortunately, the pitcher covered. But, the second baseman it was hit, like the second baseman didn't move at all. But Christian Walker, the first baseman, dove. And I was like, that's why the Diamondbacks are in last place and are the worst team in baseball, because those things just shouldn't happen on a major league field.
Or did you see the one where there's a pop-up and there's 3 of them just standing with each other and no one caught it? Like it was shallow right field and there was 3. The first baseman was out there, the right fielder, and the second baseman, and no one seemed to put a glove out.
That's more of a brain fart, but even
that's why they're in last.
Yeah, it happens. It's the D-backs just. I remember when some people were saying, the D-backs might be able to make 500 this year. Yeah, they're going to need to literally pull a miracle. All right, number 7. Yeah, it would be they would need to win like 40 games in a row, and they lost 23 in a row on the road. I really don't think they're going to do that. So the Brewers get the number 7 spot here with their incredible comeback. For this to be number 7, just goes to show you how much of a great 2 weeks we've had. They were down 7-0 to the Cubs. They ended up winning the game 15-7. It was a spectacular comeback for them. And it wasn't like they were hitting bombs. They were just piecing together hits. It was a really special game. And honestly, definitely one of the games at the end of the year you're going to look back on and say, man, that was a really great game. And number 6, on the same day, also made history here with the first time in baseball history that a team that was losing 7-0 in the first inning came back and won. First time ever where that happened twice in the same day. This is when Jared Walsh shocked the Yankees and made them realize that they really aren't good, where he hit a a game-tying grand slam against Aroldis Chapman in the ninth. Anytime you hit a grand slam at all, anytime you hit a grand slam to tie a game, it's special. He hit a game-tying grand slam in the ninth off of Aroldis Chapman, a lefty, in a 2-strike count. I'll leave it at that. The Angels went on to win that game. Jared Walsh takes the cake for the number 6 spot. And number 5, it seems like this guy's always making spectacular plays. 3 home runs in one game for Fernando Tatis Jr. against the Diamondbacks was something special. I mean, we expect this from him. He takes the number 5 spot. Now, number 4, really, I would say at this point, 1 through 4, you can jumble them around. There's really no reason to me really stating their position here because I'd say they're at a tie. But the first one I have here is Trey Turner hitting his 3rd career cycle, tying the major league record. And as you said, on his birthday, Trey Turner, I said entering the year, I believe he's the best shortstop in baseball. Tatis has proven me wrong, but Trey Turner is, quite honestly, I would say the best all-around player. He's a 5-tool player. He can run, he can field, he can hit for sure. I mean, the dude's just spectacular. Now, the next one here that I have are the Cubs throwing a combined no-hitter to beat the Dodgers on June 24th. That was a really special moment because the Dodgers are the Dodgers. They threw a combined no-hitter. Craig Kimbrell didn't know it was a no-hitter until like 5 minutes after the game ended, but special nonetheless. The next one here happened against the Mets, tying a record that the Mets had set back in the 1960s. Aaron Nola tying the all-time record with 10 consecutive strikeouts. Didn't get enough hype. It really didn't. I was watching the game, and Mets fans were more excited about it than really anyone else because it tied Tom Seaver's record that no one had broken for 50 years. I mean, like, we needed more hype about this. And then at number 1, I mean, come on, Wander Franco. His massive MLB debut. I think he went 3 for 4, had a 2-run bomb. I mean, you want to talk about making a statement and living up to the hype. This dude came up. He's younger than I am. He comes up in his Rolls Royce. He steps out with diamond chains. He's strutting into the field like he's been there for 20 years. Goes 3 for 4. It's a 2-run bomb. I mean, the dude did it all. Unfortunately, hasn't really been as amazing since, similar to Kelenic, but at least he's hitting over 200. But, I mean, Franco he made a statement. He came in and boom, here I am, Wander Franco, number 1 prospect in baseball. I am here to stay. And, well, the future of that Rays organization certainly showed it off in that first game in the majors. So that'll do it for today's episode. It was a great one. Nick, thank you for being here. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Getting a recap, as always. It's something we kind of have to do at least a couple times in the year, and it was enjoyable. But it was a good one. It definitely was.
Always.
It was a really fun show, and anytime it's just 2 of us, it gives us more of an opportunity to kind of break stuff down. Because when it's 4 of us, it's kind of more of just kind of giving an umbrella. Yeah, it's more of a very broad look at it. But when it's just 2 of us, we can break it down. I mean, I didn't think we would spend so much time on the divisions, but I mean, it got us a chance to really talk about teams we haven't been able to talk about this year and not spend 3 hours doing it. So I had fun. Next week, be here, 8:30 a.m. Arizona time. That is 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. It is going to be bright and early, but we'll get used to it after a few weeks as we get ready for our first 8:30 a.m. show. It is the day of the All-Star game. My favorite 2 days of the year are 6 and 7 days away.
You got to make predictions for All-Star game MVP and home run derby champ.
That's true, but we can't do the home run derby champ predictions because today's the last show before that. So, and we don't even know who's competing in it yet. We only have 5. All right. So, or no, 6. I don't know.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Who's it right now? It's like Salvi, Pete Alonso.
It's Shohei, Salvi, Pete Alonso, Story. I want to say. I think Story's competing in it. Yeah, Mancini's in it. And then there's 2 more that they haven't filled yet. So I think they actually might have just committed someone yesterday. I don't remember. But regardless, it's going to be a lot of fun. The home run derby is my favorite day of the year. 365 days in the year, home run derby day is my favorite. I'm up at 7 a.m. having a wiffle ball home run derby by myself, and it's just enjoyable. And then you got the All-Star game. There's a few days of the year that every baseball fan just wakes up and they are just energized. It's home run derby, All-Star game, trade deadline, opening day, and any postseason game, really. Well, the first day of the postseason, and then yes, the World Series. For me, it's every day of the postseason. But
fair enough.
It's been fun. It was definitely enjoyable. Nick, again, thank you for being on. Hopefully next week we'll have all 4 of us. Maybe not. We planned it so that all 4 of us are free at that time. So maybe we'll actually
whoever shows up can be here.
Yeah, Ryan unfortunately won't be able to be here for the whole show, but he should be here for the first 20 minutes. So be there. We look forward to seeing you then. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Enjoy the home run derby. I know